Seuraava solistimme on tehnyt pitkään töitä sponsoroinnin parissa ja Mika kertoikin, että hän oli jo tuolla 80-luvulla perustamassa tätä Ruotsin sponsorointi- ja tapahtumamarkkinointiyhdistystä. Tällä hetkellä hän toimii sisällöntuottajana Tango Sponsoring sponsorointikonsulttiyrityksessä. Tangoon tarvitaan 2. It takes 2 to tango on puheenvuoron nimi. Welcome on stage, Anders Lindén.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I'm actually kind of proud to stand here in the start of the Finnish Sponsorship Association. Niklas is the CEO of the federation in Sweden, but I'm actually been on the board for 12 years, I think, and I was also responsible for giving you Tommy and Christopher and Sponsor Insight here in Finland, I think. I was there starting the company in 1995, 96, so we worked together for a couple of years, and I've been nagging on them for 10 years or something to start a federation here in Finland, so I'm glad that it's finally happening. I noticed that you kind of compare with Sweden. I didn't understand everything you said, Klaus, but there were a lot of Swedish and Finnish flags, and I have to say this. Sweden is not a perfect sponsorship market, not at all. The federation has been there for more than 25 years. It started in '86, so maybe we have more thinking and getting together and exchanging ideas and so on. But as a consultant, we at Tango are working with counseling, sponsorship strategies, negotiations around contracts and so on. And I tend to say, if I'm really nice to the Swedish sponsorship market, I would say that 1/3 of Swedish companies have a proper sponsorship strategy that is working concerning target groups, concerning aims and objectives. The rest of the money are spent on CEOs' personal interest or the local hockey team, which are in need of a lot of money, but it's not spent with a communicative approach. And that is what our federation wants to be, and I hope that the Finnish federation also is thinking about sponsorship from the people that pays the sponsorship. It's actually the companies that are supposed to get something out of the sponsorship. It comes with the territory that the federation in sports and theaters and so on need the money. They do need it, and they sell the sponsorship as a communicative platform. And that is what I'm going to talk about. I'm not spending that much time on figures and so on. I try to bring you some creative examples instead. There's a short summary of what Tango does. I've been in the business for like 20 years, and my colleagues, we're just 4 of us, have been there for 20 years together. We're actually a part of a bigger communicative group called Experience Group, where PS Communication is the biggest company. They are specialists in brand experiences, events, design, everything like that, and we are more than 160 people in the Nordic countries. So it's kind of a big company, but we do a lot of activation in sponsorship. Biggest thing might be that we are responsible for the Volvo Ocean Race, the Volvo part where they build the sponsorship area and so on the race. But we're down to local sponsorship as well, doing things for the Swedish Post, where they are sponsoring different local football teams and so on. Enough about us. Now over to sponsorship history. Sponsorship is not a new thing. It's been around there for like 2,000 years or something. This small arena, taking 70,000 plus spectators, were there, and there were a functioning sponsorship business. There were sponsors, maybe private sponsors, not companies. There were heroes, there were merchandising, souvenirs, catering, hospitality, everything. There was maybe was worse losing in those days. You didn't get a re-game then. But it was the same thing. Trading were done of the stars between the different gladiator houses and so on. And it went on, going from sports or events over to the arts, the culture. A lot of the composers and the painters and so on were actually paid by royal families or big houses or the Medicis in the Italian area or something like that. So we got a lot of culture from kind of sponsorship then. In the 1900s, the businesses came in and brought arenas or Carnegie Hall in New York or Comiskey Place. They paid to have the arenas for the people. And that's where something like the modern sponsorship kind of starts. What is modern sponsorship then? Is it this? Sadly enough. This isn't good for anyone. O2, Reebok, Budweiser and Skoda are the main sponsor for the Ice Hockey Federation in the Czech Republic. They pay a lot of money. And when there's a TV sent, a broadcasted game, the Ice Hockey Federation sells some advertising space. Spectators can't see the puck. Players are confused. Nothing is really good about this. So we're trying to get the focusing on the logos away when we're talking sponsorship with people. We're more talking about this. And I'm actually glad that Klaus and Sponsor Inside had laid that little underlining about sponsorship. Because sponsorship is about passions. It is about our own engagement, our own interests. It doesn't matter if it's dancing or horse riding or football or music. There are communities that are interested in one area, and that's the community that the companies would like to catch, would like to communicate to. And they can do it by speaking with a football voice or a theater voice or a music voice or something. So they tend to catch the audience by speaking to the heart. Niklas also mentioned share of heart as one important thing in sponsorship. You know the term share of mind. Everyone does that in marketing. But most of the decisions that we make, consuming things, most of the reasons are emotional. We are not that rational that we do think. So most of the things we decide for comes from emotional reasons. And if we could approach the audience, the target group, in the areas where they are very interested, we kind of making a relationship with them and become buddies with our target groups. And that's what modern sponsorship is about. More about heart, more about partnership, more about it takes two to tango. It's also a very flexible platform. We most often think about marketing, bringing the exposure of the logo and so on. But I would really like to say that PR activities, HR for the employees, it's very important target groups to work with the employees because they are also an important target group for most of the businesses today. It costs a lot of money to get new skilled people into the company. So if you could keep the people there, making them happy, working with things that they like, it's also a good investment for companies. It's also many times good for local relations, both with companies and with authorities. So you could use a sponsorship for for many kind of reasons. And that way it also becomes very cost effective. So don't just go the way of marketing or sales. Try to look around what other areas could the sponsorship be used for. And there are no boundaries around the sponsorship contract. You could make your own piece of art like the Mona Lisa. Or it may be even more flexible. It maybe isn't enclosed to the canvas. Because if you really could use your imagination, you could more work with a sculpture, just forming the sponsorship to anything. Not many people think of building a house like a dancing man or woman. Frank Gehry does. He also built the Guggenheim Museum in Spain. What town is it? Bilbao is it, yes. So you know how it looks like. It's a metal thing, and he's thinking way out of the box when he's doing the architecture. And that's the way we should do it as well when we think of sponsorships. We also need to think about the target groups. Don't go after them with just sales and putting your latest product in the face of them. Try to solve their problems. Try to bring them service and things that they really appreciate. This is an example from England where the telecom company Orange, which is now named EE, I think, they have been working with Glastonbury Music Festival for like 10 years. And what's happening when you're at a music festival for 4 days? The first thing is that your mobile phone doesn't have a battery capacity for after 1 day. So they're actually helping young people out there, putting out these recharge stations around the area where people could lock in their phones and recharge them for a couple of hours. So they're giving them service, but they're also talking about their interest in sustainability and building a better world. So you see, these charge stations, they are run by wind power and solar power, renewable energy sources. They want to speak about the responsibility that we all have to our planet, and they want to do that to a young target audience. So if we're still in England, so it rains a lot, so if the solar power doesn't work out, they also handing out small gadgets, like a bracelet that when you dance in the clubbing in the night, the energy stays there, and you can charge your phone there. They have T-shirts with a large area at the chest where sound waves are collected, and you can then charge your mobile phone from that. So they're always doing the example of what we all can do with renewable energy, not speaking about the cheapest phone possibilities or the latest iPhones or something like that. That's bringing a respect to the target audiences. Don't do it this way, like Visa did at the Olympics in the 2012 in London. I don't know if any of you were there, but Visa is an Olympic sponsor for all over the world. They have the exclusivity of being the only credit card used there, but they went a little too far here, because when you got into the Olympic area, you could only pay things through cash or by a Visa card. Fine with that. But when anyone went to an ATM machine, you couldn't use your MasterCard to get out cash. And that's not enhancing the experience, it really is spoiling it. Why couldn't they work with some discounts for a Visa card holder or some souvenirs that you got instead? No, they tried to spoil the experience for a lot of people there. This is a little bit of joking, but it's actually kind of true, because when you work with sponsorship, you have to compare it to a love relationship. This is contractual anyway. You're in love for 3 years or something, but that may be the only difference. So if you take your time as a sponsor and really think, why am I going into a sponsorship? Do I need brand awareness? Do I need sales? Do I need more engaged employees? Do I need brand equity, more preferences for my brand or something? That's the first question. Why should I enter a sponsorship? And who do I want to speak to? What are the target groups? When does it fit into my traditional market plan? Then you can ask yourself, what am I going to sponsor? Too many of the companies that I meet, they tend to jump into a sponsorship and think, oh, this was a kind of fun sponsorship, or I got a bargain price or something like that. So they try to work with the creative parts before they have worked out why they are into this project. So if you take these questions in the right order, it would be a lot better for you, I think. And as you all know, when you have a relationship, when you have dated, when you finally have moved together, the work doesn't stop. You can't sit down in the couch in the Friday evening and don't pay attention to your partner. That relationship won't last for long. So you still have to be an attentive partner and make things together with your sponsorship partner. And that goes on for all of the contract. And that's the most useful way also for the sales part of the market, the rights holders. If they treat their sponsors good, if they are really attentive to them, it's much easier to prolong the contract for another 3 years. They like you, they know that you're going to work for you, so they prolong the contract for another period. What's happening around brands? It's also had changed over time. A short overview is that in the early 1900s, 1950, 60 or something, brands were more about functional things, working properly, guarantees, different colors maybe. In the 70s and 80s, we got more emotional identity, that things should be interesting or be connected to a film star or something. Today, we're working more that brands are going to fulfill your life. People want the brands to make it easier for themselves to live. And I'm going to give you some examples from the conference in Chicago this spring, where we were talking about the new 4 Ps. You all know the Ps at the left. But in sponsorship, they started to talk about 4 important Ps: partners, purpose, personality, and participation. And I'm going to run through a couple of them quite quickly here. The first one, partnerships. That's the bottom line of our business, isn't it? And MasterCard are very good at this. Most credit card companies, banks, insurance companies, companies that kind of have not that sexy products, they want to fill in something in the brand. They need to do some loyalty stuff with different partners. And the ABBA Museum, oops, wrong picture. The ABBA Museum, they give a discount to all MasterCard holders. If you're a MasterCard holder here, you could get your tickets for the Justin Timberlake concert 48 hours before the public can buy them. And they've been working with the New York Yankees with a really good example of how you could use a ticket pool.
So how do you turn 20 seats from Yankee Stadium into 55 million impressions in only 4 days? Turns out, all you need is a Facebook campaign. Our brief was to launch MasterCard's Priceless New York, a new site that offers premium seats to local events. Our idea was simple. We gave New Yorkers the most priceless seats in the city, the actual seats from the original Yankee Stadium. All people had to do was find them. Clues to each location were dropped online. Fans checked in using Facebook to win. The more they checked in, the more word spread. Each seat was worth a ticket to Yankee Stadium. Winners got the VIP treatment at the game, and MasterCard got a few new fans. In the end, we launched MasterCard Priceless Cities using only the streets of New York and the best seats in the house.
Useful way of social media. Purpose, why you go into a partnership. This is a good example of that. People want to know that companies care about them, care about their everyday life. And Chevron, gas company, gas stations, have been working out this project with an organization called The Donors Choose. That organization are helping teachers to get funds so they don't have to pay like $1,000 a year to just buy paper and pencils and things to their pupils. They crowdsource these funds. And Chevron has made a campaign here. So if you go to a Chevron station and fill your car with gas, they donate $1 for each time you go there for a campaign period of 4 weeks. So it's a small amount, but with a lot of people going there, they made $4.5 million cash funding to this organization. 1,700 projects have been awarded, affecting 697 different students. So when you go this way in social sponsorship, you kind of make a difference for the everyday life of people. When it comes to personality, sponsorship is a really good way to build brand equity to your brand. And this is a really creative example of the Australia's national team in cricket. They had a common problem. They were a small sponsor in the hierarchy of sponsors. They couldn't afford to be there in all advertising. They weren't on the uniforms, they were Vodafone all over the place. So they built a story around their product instead.
The Sydney Cricket Ground is the spiritual home of cricket in Australia. It's on this turf Australia has won more than on any other patch of grass on earth. But as the team's smallest sponsor, the official suit tailors, we couldn't be on the uniforms, the bats, or even the pitch. MJ Bale was essentially invisible to the Australian public. Could we make a suit to get the entire nation's attention?
We took a plug of turf out of the surface of the SCG, and what you do with that grass is what's called vegetative propagation. So there's really no limit to how much grass you can grow out of that piece of turf.
So we took this sacred turf to our merino sheep farm in Armidale, New South Wales.
We had to plant it out in one corner and then expand it out across the whole lot of the paddock, and that's what it's become.
Here, our sheep grazed on Australia's greatest victories. Their wool was then crafted into suits for the Australian cricket team. Journalists were sent ties made from our wool, and soon with the team's help, the entire nation knew the story within the suits.
And they'll take a special piece of home with them.
When the Aussies suit up for the Caribbean tour, they'll wrap themselves in cricket history.
The wool is literally infused with the greatness that comes from the SCG, and there's not a ground in Australia that has that history, tradition, and the players feel that.
This earned us over 8.5 million media impressions, achieving mass awareness via national TV news, press and online. The suits had become our most valuable media channel, generating PR worth over $3.2 million. With suit orders up 520%, expansion into 38 new stores, it's been the brand's most successful campaign ever. All from the team's smallest sponsorship.
It's a very special feeling because you know where the wool's come from. I feel like a winner.
You see what they are doing? They are really, really playing on the emotional strings here, giving passion a lot of credentials here. People love cricket. People love the Sydney Cricket Ground. So they built the story into the actual product. Saying that this campaign was their most successful ever, paying $14 back to every dollar spent. It's built on sponsorship, but it's used, it's activated in every other media channel. Last new P is participation, and we think it's an important thing that the sponsor and the sponsee does things together. This is an example from Holland, actually. Hey guys. It's the ING, the big company, who have been a sponsor for the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam for a lot of years. And the museum has been closed partly because they have been rebuilding the museum. And they did a little marketing campaign here by doing what you could call a flash mob, which is kind of interesting. hope you all know the picture there. It's Rembrandt, The Night Watch, and it's free entrance for the weekend, thanks to the sponsor here. What I would like to say is that the sponsorship market is quickly developing. It's a young market. We invent things all the time, but these things with social media and digital media is really quickening things up, because that makes the possibilities to give service and to give credentials to the target groups really a new dimension. It's not about being there in people's faces, showing logos. It's more about entertaining or giving service to them. It's not about thinking about the brand's needs. It's more about thinking about the target group's needs. Learning about the target group and knowing them is also really important. And this is a very good example of what could happen when the game day is the same day as Valentine's Day.
I'll be your dream, I'll be your wish, I'll be your fantasy. I'll be your hope, I'll be your love, be everything that you need. I love you more with every breath, truly, madly, deeply do. I will be strong, I will be faithful, cause I'm counting on a new beginning, a reason for living, a deeper meaning there. I wanna stand with you on a mountain, I wanna bathe with you in the sea, I wanna lay like this forever, until the sky falls down on me. And when the stars are shining brightly in the velvet sky, I'll make a wish, send it to heaven, then make you want to cry. The tears of joy for all the pleasure and the certainty that we're surrounded by the comfort and protection of the highest power. It may be ours, the tears devour you. I wanna stand with you on a mountain, I wanna bathe with you in the sea, I wanna lay like this forever, until the sky falls down on me, falls down on me.
They're kind of good. Maybe it's not the Boys Choir of Vienna, but they're still there. The melody is there, and they're enthusiastic, really. I think I could skip a couple of slides here. Time flies when you have fun. I think this is a good example of what a sponsor really could do. Niklas was talking about the young generation, what they are doing when they are using the mobile phones. And one very stupid thing is that they're actually driving while they're texting. And this is a huge problem, especially in the States, but I think we have it here as well. So AT&T has actually taken up this in a program. So they know, they're a telecom operator, they know they are part of the problem. So they are building a campaign, driving opinion about don't do this stupid thing. No texting, it can wait. You could do this another time. And they are paying for commercials. They're building a community on the internet, on Facebook. Take the pledge, download this app that will prevent you from texting while you're moving in a kind of high speed or more than 10 kilometers per hour or something. You could walk and text, but you could not bike or drive a car or something like that. So they're really making a difference in the society here. Why is digital media so important for us? Actually, a lot of the things that you've seen, like the choir, it's not that expensive to do that. You have to gather things around. The flash mob from Holland, okay, you need an event agency, you need some actors, but it's much cheaper than buying advertising space. And when you get these films to fly over the internet, hitting 5 or 10 million impressions, it's much more cost-effective than making the TV commercials and have to pay for it. And there's a lot of service built into this as well. You could get people coming to a festival to look up the schedule for the bands in an app. You could bring a lot of statistics to a sports audience. And we're all very, very keen on that in our everyday life. We download apps, we look at YouTube and so on, and if the sponsors could bring you that, it's a very, very good thing for both sponsor and the rights holder. This is a short example what Office Depot, which is a office supplier, it's a kind of boring company, and they have the problem that the young target groups isn't buying their things. So they went in to sponsor the X Games, the Olympic of action sports. And what they got as the most important property, I think, was this hashtag, ODX Games. If you tagged your pictures or your Facebook status with the ODX Games, all of this were gathered together on a special website. So if you're interested in snowboarding or freestyle scooter, snowmobile things, you could go there and get the pictures from both the athletes and the audience. So it was a service. It was a good thing for them to give to the audience. Finally, a couple of advices. This is really important, and we tend not talking about the American consultants IG. This is an Australian consultant called him Skildum Reed, who's been in Sweden for a couple of times on the European conference, I think. This message is kind of important. It's not the sponsor's job to build the association with the sponsored property, with the team or the festival. It's a target group. These are the ones that they want to make business with. The team or the festival is just a bridge to get to them. So it's much more important to really get under the skin of the target group and go to their hearts. And what follows from that is that modern sponsorships isn't about putting a logo up in somebody's face. It's actually much more about bringing the target group, get their attention to come to you and use your services or spread the films around or something like that. And it's not only a simple media channel. Most sponsorship nowadays tend to build in the sponsorship in the brand promise or the product offer. So, 1 minute late. I had the clock up there. Thank you.